Greetings again. This is Mr. Jesus Lopez. It is March 2nd, approximately 4:25 p.m. Central Time. This is today's entry. Just a couple of things that I saw today that I think relate to everything that we are seeing. Of course, we're noticing that a lot of individuals are preparing themselves for their run at the presidency, and in that we're seeing the local we're just seeing the news media, whether it's radio or television, give their analysis of the candidates. We're seeing radio talk show, conservative radio talk show, doing their analysis, and we're all going to get bombarded with information. Again, I do believe that we need to speak, we need to search our conscience and speak our mind. Otherwise, we really shouldn't say anything. I was thinking today of why it is so important to not be a person who just sits in the bleachers and observes. If you talk to people, you'll notice that they have complaints. Everybody's got a complaint about something. One of the most disheartening things that came out of the November 2006 congressional elections was that 60% of the Americans couldn't be bothered to vote. You're dealing in a time where things are so extreme that it's necessary to be involved. I did a simple search of terrorist organizations, terrorist groups in the world, and I came to a list of over 20. I was having a conversation with two of my clients, and I told them, okay, so my comment was that if we pull the soldiers out of Afghanistan, if we pull the soldiers out of Iraq, what happens? Excuse me, just a symptom of an illness that won't go away. But what does happen? Because these terrorists aren't going to go anywhere. And right now, you can bet that they're planning their next attack on American soil. And from what I get, from listening to the Democratic's point of view, not the Democratic's point of view filtered through the conservative radio talk, but through what I see, their own words, judging their own words. And they're under some kind of impression that if you just walk away, everything will be fine, and they won't be bothering Americans. I don't think that way. I think that they're going to be there for a very long time, and no matter what you do, they're going to continue to be a problem to the United States for a very long time. And it's tragic to think of how many people want to live in some kind of idea that nothing is going on, or that everything will be fine if we just ignore the problem. In 2008, there will be a presidential election, and again there will be a congressional election. What I would like to see from presidential candidates is that they truly understand the enormous threat of terrorism and are willing to do what is necessary to stand up to this threat. Now, what does that mean to me? To me, that means you finish Afghanistan, you finish Iraq, and you start creating specialized military groups whose sole purpose will be to search and destroy terrorist organizations. The point that I make to people is, think of it this way. Why do you lock your doors at night before you go to sleep? Why do you lock your car when you leave it in the parking lot of the mall? Murderers, rapists, serial killers, child predators, they're a unique type of person. And so is a terrorist. A terrorist is a unique type of person. And they're not going to go away and hide and say, oh, well, now we can leave these little Americans alone. They're always going to be there. I would have to say that for the duration of history, until the Lord Jesus Christ comes back, terrorists are going to be someone to contend with. And if you can't grasp that idea, if you can't grasp that reality, you're not going to be able to meet that challenge. And it's going to affect your life, and it's going to affect the lives of your loved ones, and it's going to affect the future generations. And the only thing I've seen from the Democrats is political maneuvers. They have politicized the issue. It doesn't exist. I've created the problem in my head, and the only place that the terrorists exist are inside my brain. This isn't a phobia. This isn't an irrational fear. This isn't a hallucination. They are there. We see them every day in the news, blowing things up in Iraq, blowing things up in Afghanistan. But that's why it's important to get involved, because everything that you have today is in jeopardy. Your own life is in jeopardy. But a couple of things one thing that we cannot do, that I'm very conscious of the fact, is we cannot become immature little children. I heard Rush Limbaugh today talking about Barack Obama and some of his family being involved in the slave trade. And he made what I consider to be a very vulgar comment. And that's not what it's about. I don't care about the color of the skin of Barack Obama. I don't care about his race. There's this, excuse me, there's this thing in the country that says it should not be a litmus test, a religious litmus test. Governmentally, there should not be a religious litmus test. Absolutely correct, 100%. But personally, I can decide not to support a Mormon. I can decide not to support a Catholic. I can decide not to support a Muslim. For me, for the individual, any individual, for themselves can decide, I will not support a person that comes from this type of a religious group. That's my right. But to personalize attacks against people for the sake of just putting them down leaves a very bad face on the conservative movement. I do believe you should be personally responsible. That's why I consider myself a conservative. I think that government should restrain itself from interfering in the personal lives of individuals. Promising welfare, promising unemployment, promising college grants, promising free health care is interfering in the life of the individual. If you're an individual trying to figure your life out right now, if you're young, where am I going to go? Those are the thoughts in your idea. Prepare yourself to acquire wealth. Don't just be an employee, hoping that when you retire, Social Security will be there. Social Security is a big lie. You can do better for yourself if you start working today towards a financial goal that'll give you wealth, because government screws everything up. And if you're relying on government, you're going to be screwed up. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good day.